Okay, then we will move into old business. And item 6A, approval of strategic plan, SMART goals, and objectives. So, kind of brought this back from last month where we received the updated goals and the priorities, the goals, the SMART goals, the objectives, action steps, and had a little time to at least look them over and see what we thought. So, go ahead, Greg.
One of the things that I would just like to let you know as you're looking at these and talking about these things, we in one of our leadership groups, you had one last year that actually brought you the various strategic planning process, and you looked at them all and they reviewed them with you, and we ended up using the chainsaw planning process, and we've come up with this document. One of the leadership programs also have a project this year with the strategic plan, and they're going to help, would like to help the board and administration kind of bring this to life in the district. So we will probably be bringing a plan to you within in June or possibly July how we would like to do that. It may involve maybe a board member at the annual meeting, or Cindy, or whomever that might be, or and then again at the new teacher, not the new teacher in service, but our annual in service that we have with all staff at some point in time, again bringing that document and talking about it and how it's different from the board goals that we have previously worked on. And then finally those staff again will bring that to the buildings and work with the building administrator to try to bring that again to life so that it becomes we know what it is. It becomes a living and kind of breathing document. It's not just sitting on a shelf and we're using it. And I'm sure you have many expectations for that document yourself to bring that to life, but they'd like to be a part of that and help you with that. So.
Okay. Well, is there any discussion? Anyone have any thoughts? Any likes, dislikes? Are we at a better point of thinking we want all 6 goals? Do we want to approve from this point forward?
I'd like to see us keep all 6 goals.
Okay.
All 6 areas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy with the way they've been refined and modified and focused.
I think all the groups really delved into this a lot and made things a lot clearer for us to understand and know where we're wanting to go. I really was pleased too with how everything came together a lot more succinctly and showed our priorities and goals much better than when we initially started. And I think we've kept with the real intent of where our initial goals started. I don't think we've strayed very far. I really don't.
There's a lot of committees here, and I think it's just important that we don't get people committed out and that we stay focused. But I think the work that needs to be done to make this happen is work that we want to be involving others with as well. So I think it has great potential.
Yep, I think it's good that it is. It does involve a lot of people, and I think that's important, really important. And the other part of it too, not everything was due tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, it is a work in progress, and we know that some things will take longer than others.
The only thing that I think that we need to consider is because we didn't want to be compelled to say that priority 1 is the first priority, I would say take off the numbering. Just call them priority and then label it.
I think that's very good
so that everyone
advice.
Understands that these are all our priorities because that's what we work towards. So that's the only recommendation I would have with the overall content of things. And then find out how many committee members are on leadership, and can we pull in former leadership students to also participate. I just think that when we talk about the number of committees that will take to bring these goals into fruition, I think it has to be the whole community that's
It's a great idea to take the numbers
And I think probably the next step in the process, if I might suggest, would be is once these are approved and this is the direction you want us to go now, is to set a timeline for developing action plans and possibly implementation so that we can get moving on these things. So because we know it's a priority for the board, and then without the a timeline, I think it'd be very difficult to move forward. And then at that point in time, once we get the action plans put in place, bring those back to you, and then have the board maybe prioritize them based on your priorities and maybe the dollars that are available. Because it will be difficult to do all these in one year. But if we could do that, I think that would be very helpful for us.
Cindy Zardi and I went to the Spring Academy on May 8th down in the Dells, and Pewaukee School District gave a presentation, and we got a lot of great ideas. They have been doing strategic planning for a long time, but they gave us a lot of different samples. They have this, their strategic plan in a pamphlet that everybody gets, and, you know, the community gets a newsletter with the information in it, and then it's more detailed for the staff, and so, you know, we can share that information too, but it would help us as far as the implementation and.
If you want to send that down here, that'd be, I think, a great thing for that leadership
Yeah, and I've got
group
other
to take a look
documents
at
too from
those
that.
documents and give those some more ideas.
They even had, they suggested that we as a board have goals. In addition to that, things that we want to learn about during the year, maybe have some informal discussions on, you know, 21st century learning. We could pick some topics, and so they had some very nice suggestions for things that, you know, we can follow through on our strategic plan. They're very proactive with making sure that it's carried out.
That sounds great, yeah. Okay. I think that's a really good idea about not having the priority set initially, and then, because they are all our goals, and actually about having different timelines involved with them, that will, in essence, create a priority list, really, at some point, so that's good.
I would make a move to approve the strategic plan, SMART goals and objectives minus the numbers as presented.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve our SMART goals and objectives as presented, of course, minus the numbering system that we had. Any further discussion?
Just one thing on the priority formerly known as 2. No Prince references, nobody got that? Okay. I understand why we're saying 2011, 2012, and I hope that I'm not misreading it, but it does look like you did do some changing to the action steps to kind of make that much more focused on 2010 and 11.
Yes.
Which I think is important, understanding that we probably couldn't implement before 2012 after seeing that software last month. I feel very compelled to try to encourage staff with all energy to use it as soon as possible, not to wait until that.
I think if you look particularly at that one, that was reworked, that we
Yeah,
would spend
it
this
does
year
look like
looking
it's
at
real good.
stuff and be ready to implement 11 and 12.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good idea to do it this way, to get everyone really comfortable with it and going with it, and so we can truly hit 100%.
A lot of work
Just recently, we had
recently.
reps from each building to come in, got intensive training from Paul Potter on gradebook and exam, so that these people then can go back into the buildings and be the resource people that others can come to and say, how do you, help me work through this? So there's been, at least 2 representatives from every building who have already come in for training on gradebook and exam.
Sure, and I just wanted to comment, I
great to hear.
appreciate those changes, it really, it kind of, I think, puts the priority.
Yeah, I think that puts it in the timeline we were hoping for, much more clearer.
A lot of good dialogue to it.
Good.
It really has been, and there will be a lot more that will happen here regarding this particular goal, but the focus has really caught our attention.
Good. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And thank you to all of you for all your hard work on this, all of the committees, the leadership program, to Greg, to Bob, that have really worked on this well. All of our administrators have put a lot of time and effort into this, and we really do appreciate it. And thanks for the initial startup of all this, to the community that put their input in, our staff that was wonderful in inputting their thoughts. We really do appreciate all of it, and we hope to make our school system better because of it. So that's our goal. So thank you. Okay, we will move on to